The first time it happened, it felt like déjà vu. Now I'm sure it was something else, something wrong. It was a gray Tuesday morning in late November. Karachi was wrapped in a dull haze that made the sun look like a dying bulb behind the clouds. I woke up to the same alarm tone that has been my daily torment for years, a piercing digital scream at exactly 6:30 a.m. My apartment was cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones, not because of the weather, but because of how quiet everything feels. No traffic yet, no birds, just the faint hum of my refrigerator. I dragged myself up, brushed my teeth, made my usual instant coffee. I even burned the first slice of toast, like I always do. Nothing unusual, nothing new. At work, I went through the motions, typing reports I didn't care about, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, pretending to be alive in a place where nobody truly was. Emily from the next cubicle dropped her mug. The handle snapped, and coffee spread across the floor. Everyone groaned. I remember it clearly, because later, it happened again. The day passed in its dull rhythm. Bus, home, TV, microwave dinner, the same routine that slowly kills you without you realizing it. But that evening, I saw something I'll never forget. I was walking home along Shahra-e-Faisal, streetlights flickering in the fog, when I noticed someone standing across the road, perfectly still. I almost didn't look twice, but when I did, my stomach turned to ice. It was me. Same jacket, same face, same tired expression. The man across the street wasn't a stranger. He was me. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. And then, as a car passed between us, he was gone. I froze there for nearly a minute, waiting for him to reappear, but he never did. I told myself it was just a reflection from a glass door, or maybe my mind playing tricks after too much caffeine and too little sleep. Still, I couldn't shake that feeling, the one you get when you know someone is watching you, even when you can't see them. That night, I went to bed late. I checked the clock before closing my eyes. 11:42 p.m. I remember it, because the digits felt oddly familiar, like I'd seen them 1,000 times before. Then I woke up, to the sound of my alarm, 6:30 a.m., Tuesday. At first I didn't question it. Everyone's had mornings that feel like exact copies of the ones before. I made coffee, burned the toast again, brushed my teeth, caught the bus. But when Emily dropped her mug, same angle, same sound, something inside me broke loose. I stood there staring at the shattered pieces on the floor and whispered, "Didn't this happen yesterday?" She blinked at me, confused. "Yesterday? It's Tuesday, Hyder. You okay?" I laughed it off. Maybe I'd mixed up days. Maybe I was tired. But that night, when I fell asleep again, I woke up to the same alarm. 6:30 a.m., Tuesday. Again and again and again. No matter what I did, I always returned to that moment. The alarm, the haze, the burnt toast, the same dull sky bleeding over Karachi's skyline. I tried breaking the pattern. I stayed home. I skipped work. I smashed the alarm clock, but when I woke, it was whole again. I even tried to leave the city, packed a bag, bought a bus ticket to Lahore, but before I reached the toll plaza, the sky flickered. Literally flickered, like a bad film reel. Then everything went dark, and I woke up back in bed. Tuesday, 6:30 a.m. That's when I started writing things down. Every small detail, every word people said. But by the fifth loop, some things had changed. The shadows in my apartment were darker, the air heavier, the street outside quieter than usual. When I looked in the mirror, my reflection's mouth lagged behind my movements, like the glass was slow to catch up. And then there was the knock. A single, heavy thud on my door at midnight. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Whoever it was didn't knock again. But I heard footsteps walking away, slow, deliberate, heavy. And from somewhere in the hallway, a man's voice whispered, "Don't let them notice you." The next morning, I woke to the same alarm, the same gray light spilling through my window, the same Tuesday. But this time, something felt different. The city outside was quieter. My phone's calendar wouldn't load. And when I looked out my window, I saw him again, across the street, standing perfectly still. Only this time, he was smiling. By the 8th Tuesday, I stopped pretending this was a dream. Dreams don't smell like dust and diesel. Dreams don't make your skin crawl when the wind passes through you wrong. Whatever this was, it was real. Too real. I spent the morning sitting by my window, watching the street below. Every sound, every movement, every blink. I knew what would happen before it happened. The fruit vendor shouting at the bus driver, the stray cat jumping on the garbage bin, the boy on the bicycle who always dropped his backpack. Everything played like a script written by someone who hated surprises. But that day, one thing changed. The boy didn't drop his backpack. He rode straight through the intersection, looked up at me, and smiled. He'd never done that before. His mouth stretched too wide, his eyes blank. Then, as he turned the corner, he simply vanished. Not faded. Vanished, like someone deleted him from existence. My coffee cup fell from my hand and shattered. I didn't even react. I just sat there staring at the street where the boy should have been, my heart hammering like it was trying to escape my chest. The loop wasn't perfect anymore. It was cracking. That evening, I went to work again just to test it. The fluorescent lights flickered with a faint, rhythmic pulse, almost like breathing. Emily greeted me with her usual cheerful tone, but something in her face was off. Her eyes looked wet, glassy, like she hadn't blinked in hours. "Rough morning?" she asked. I wanted to ask if she remembered anything, if she ever noticed the day repeating, but before I could speak, she said, "Don't bother. It resets anyway." My blood froze. "What did you just say?" She blinked slowly, confused. "What?" I said, "Don't work too late." No, I was sure that wasn't what she said. I tried to question her again, but the world glitched. Her voice repeated mid-sentence, words overlapping like an old recording skipping. The lights buzzed louder, and for a split second, every face in the office turned toward me, motionless, staring. Then everything snapped back to normal. Emily was typing like nothing happened. The others laughed at something on their screens. I felt my throat tighten. Something in the loop was watching me now. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed in the office past midnight, hoping to see it reset, to catch the exact moment everything changed. I sat under the flickering lights, writing on the back of a report sheet. 6:30 a.m. Wake same Tuesday. Repeat Emily's words, changed. Boy vanished. Reflection delay, still there. The building was silent, except for the soft hum of the air conditioner. I thought I was alone, until I heard footsteps from the hallway. Heavy, wet, slow. "Hello?" My voice echoed off the empty cubicles. The footsteps stopped. I saw a shadow stretch across the frosted glass of the office door, tall, motionless. Then a knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I stood there frozen, unable to breathe. The handle turned halfway and stopped. A man's voice whispered through the gap, quiet but sharp enough to slice through the silence. "You're awake. Good. Don't let them notice." Before I could respond, the lights blinked, and the shadow was gone. When I opened the door, the hallway was empty, except for a trail of water leading toward the stairs. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the clock until my eyes burned. At 11:42 p.m., I blinked, just once. And when I opened my eyes, morning light. The alarm screamed. 6:30 a.m., Tuesday, again. But now the city was wrong. The air was thicker. The sky was darker. Every sound was muffled, as if I were hearing the world underwater. On the street, people moved slower. Their faces blurred when I tried to focus on them. The newspaper headline was unreadable. Words melted into shapes. Even the air smelled different, metallic, like ozone after lightning. And when I looked into a shop window, my reflection didn't look back. It just stood there, smiling. I backed away, heart pounding, and caught a glimpse of something in the reflection behind me. A man in a black raincoat, standing across the street watching me. The same one from the office. He lifted his hand and pointed directly at me. Then, in the reflection only, his mouth moved. "It's cracking." The glass trembled. For a split second, I thought I heard something from inside it, like breathing or whispering. I turned, but the street was empty. When I looked back, the reflection was gone. I stumbled home, locked every door, turned off every light. I sat in the dark, listening to the faint hum of my fridge, that same monotonous sound that always comforted me. But tonight, even that seemed wrong, too deep, too steady. It wasn't a hum, it was breathing. By the 12th Tuesday, the silence had changed. It wasn't emptiness anymore. It was presence. Like the quiet wasn't the absence of sound, but something listening. I had stopped leaving my apartment. The outside world felt like a stage after the actors went home. Hollow, artificial. The TV played the same news anchor, stuttering over the same words, the same way his eyes flickered left as if reading a cue card that no longer existed. I started keeping notes, filling entire notebooks with every anomaly. The clock in the hallway skips from 3:17 to 3:19. Shadows move even when lights are off. Phone rings at 11:42 p.m., but there's no one there. Each entry felt heavier to write, like every word pressed against something unseen. That morning, for the first time, I saw movement outside the window. Not people going to work, not cars, but shapes. Human-shaped, but too still, too long. They stood at the corner of the street, shoulder to shoulder, heads tilted slightly upward, all facing my building. And when I blinked, they were gone. I needed to know what was happening. I decided to go outside, notebook in hand. The air was thick with dust and that faint metallic scent again, the kind that burns the back of your throat. Karachi's traffic was gone. No horns, no chatter, no street vendors. Only the wind whispering through empty alleys. I found Emily near the office gate, or what looked like Emily. She stood there motionless, her eyes glossy like she was half drowned. Her lips moved slowly before words came out, too slow, like her voice lagged behind. "You shouldn't have left," she said. I wanted to cry. "Do you remember it, Emily? The loops, the days repeating?" Her eyes twitched, like the name itself hurt her. Then she said softly, "You're almost ready to see it." "See what?" "The place between." Before I could ask anything else, she smiled, but it wasn't hers. It was too wide, stretching her face until her skin looked ready to tear. The sound that came from her mouth wasn't laughter. It was like something breathing through her. Then she said one more thing, barely audible. "Most people never notice the seams." And just like that, she walked away, vanishing behind a passing bus that wasn't moving. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The city outside my window pulsed faintly, as if the lights breathed in unison. My phone flashed once, showing a new message. Unknown. Don't trust the ones who still smile. I dropped it, heart hammering. At exactly 11:42 p.m., there was a noise from the bathroom. The sound of dripping water, except I hadn't used the sink all day. When I looked inside, the mirror was fogged, though the air was cold. Slowly, words appeared on the glass from inside. "We see you." I ran. Straight out of the apartment, down the stairs, barefoot. Outside, the street was completely dark. No lights, no sound. Just that faint hum again, deep and constant. Then I saw them. Figures, dozens of them, standing in rows, motionless in the dark. Their faces were wrong, blurred like smeared paint, eyes glowing faintly white, and among them a few looked familiar, too familiar. I saw my own face, over and over, Dozens of me, each one whispering, mouths moving in perfect silence like a chorus without sound. My breath came in short gasps. I shouted, "Who are you? What do you want?" They all stopped moving at once. Then, all at once, in my own voice, they whispered, "You were never supposed to wake up." The world around me pulsed, the air bending, vibrating with a deep metallic echo. The ground beneath my feet rippled like liquid. I stumbled backward, covering my ears, but the whisper wasn't in the air. It was inside me. When I came to, I was lying in my bed. Morning light again. 6:30 a.m., Tuesday. But the clock wasn't ticking. It was twitching, the second hand jerking back and forth between seconds like it couldn't decide where to go. My reflection in the mirror watched me get dressed and blinked out of sync. At work, there were fewer people, empty chairs. The fluorescent hum had turned into a low mechanical vibration, like something breathing behind the walls. Emily's desk was empty, her nameplate gone. Only one person remained, a man I'd never seen before, sitting in her place. Black raincoat, wet floor beneath his chair. He looked at me, eyes pale as fog, and said calmly, "It's starting to notice you." "What is?" "The day." He smiled, not a kind smile, one of recognition. "Don't let it see you panic. That's how it chooses." I blinked, and he was gone. Only a puddle remained, the same faint smell of rain in the air. That night the hum grew louder. The city trembled once, like a shudder through stone. My phone flickered, showing a final message. "Stay awake. If you sleep, it learns your face." I tried. I really did. But sometime past midnight, my eyes closed. And when they opened again, it wasn't my ceiling above me. It was the same room, but darker, smaller. And from the corner, I heard breathing. Not mine. When I opened my eyes, everything was black. Not the soft dark of a room at night, this was thick, absolute. The kind that swallows the air before it reaches your lungs. For a moment, I thought I'd finally broken free of the loop. But then I heard it. The alarm. Faint, distant, echoing through the void like a dying heartbeat. 6:30 a.m., Tuesday. Only now there was no apartment, no window, no sound of traffic outside. Just the hum, the same mechanical breath that had haunted every repetition. I called out, "Is anyone here?" The darkness answered with movement. Something brushed past my arm. Cold, wet, familiar. When my eyes adjusted, I saw outlines forming. Furniture from my apartment, faintly glowing as if drawn in chalk. The world was rebuilding itself around me, piece by piece. The table, the cracked mirror, the door that never opened all the way. Except this time, every edge shimmered like static. And then I heard footsteps above me, slow, careful. But I lived on the top floor. The walls bent as I climbed the stairs, the ceiling stretching upward like a rubber sheet. The air tasted metallic. Each step made the hum louder until it vibrated through my bones. When I reached the landing, the hallway had changed. Doors lined both sides, endless, identical, stretching into the dark. Someone whispered from behind the first door, "You should have stayed asleep." I turned the knob. Inside was my office, same cubicles, same flickering lights. Emily sat at her desk, staring blankly at a computer that displayed only one sentence, repeating down the screen, "Tuesday never ends." "Emily?" I whispered. She turned her head, all the way, too far, like her neck didn't have bones anymore. Her voice came out in pieces, broken syllables sliding together. "You broke the seam. Now it's looking through you." The lights went out. When they came back, she was gone. Only her chair remained, slowly spinning. I ran, through door after door, everyone open to a different version of my life. My bedroom, my kitchen, my street, each one slightly wrong. A picture missing here, a window in the wrong place there. And in every single one, I could feel something just out of view. Finally, I reached a corridor lit by white neon tubes. At the end stood the man in the black raincoat. His face was hidden by the shadow of his hood, but his voice was calm, almost kind. "You've seen the cracks. Now see what lies beneath." He turned and walked through a door that shouldn't have been there. I followed. The world beyond it wasn't a city. It was a void, a field of faint light rippling like water. Floating in it were fragments of days, buses, voices, pieces of sky, all looping endlessly in silence. Every fragment pulsed once whenever I remembered it, as if my thoughts powered the machine. "This is the cage," he said. "A single moment, stretched forever. They built it to keep something in, but you woke it." "Who are you?" I asked. He smiled. "Another version of you, one that lasted longer." Before I could move, the void trembled. The hum turned into a roar, deep, endless, alive. From the black water, shapes rose. The others, dozens, hundreds, all with my face, all whispering the same word: sleep. The man shoved a small mirror into my hand. "Don't look at them. Look at yourself. Remember what you were." I looked and saw not my reflection, but all my Tuesdays stacked behind me like pages of a book, each one crumbling, folding in on itself. The roar became unbearable. The world around us began to collapse, time folding inward, the fragments imploding into light. "Can I leave?" I screamed. He shook his head. "You can't leave a story once it starts remembering you." The light swallowed him first. When it faded, I was back in my apartment. Morning light through the curtains, coffee smell in the air. For one breath, everything was normal. Then I noticed the clock. It wasn't ticking forward, it was counting down. 6:30, 6:29, 59, 6:29, 58. My phone buzzed. A new message. "You did this." Attached was a photo. Me, asleep in bed, taken from across the room. The caption read, "Wake up before it does." I dropped the phone and ran to the mirror. My reflection didn't follow. It stayed still, smiling faintly, eyes moving on their own. Behind it, in the glass, I saw movement. A figure walking toward me from the hallway. The raincoat. The face. Mine. The alarm rang again, loud and distorted, echoing from every wall. The numbers on the clock froze at 00. Outside, the city had stopped completely. Cars mid-turn, birds motionless, clouds suspended in place. The hum was gone. There was no sound at all. Then a second alarm began to ring. Far away, faint but real. Another apartment, another life. Someone else was awake now. I turned toward the sound, but the world was already folding in. Tuesday consuming itself, reality closing like an eye going to sleep. The last thing I heard was my own voice whispering from somewhere in the dark. "You're not alone anymore."